You probably think that when you stay close to an avoidant, you're the one losing, that your patience is the sacrifice, that your stillness is the submission. But that's not what's happening. What you think looks like selfless endurance isn't endurance at all. It's a set of quiet, deliberate moves that you never get credit for, because they don't look like power. They don't announce themselves. They don't demand attention. And the calmer you appear, the more those moves are already working beneath the surface. Here's what no one prepares you for. When you choose to stay present inside the tension of an avoidant dynamic, you aren't doing it from a place of weakness. Research on empathic attunement shows that when you are a highly empathic person, you don't just feel more, you read more. You process relational cues at a depth that most people never access. So while the avoidant was busy managing distance, you were already mapping the entire emotional architecture of what was really happening. And inside that map, 7 quiet strategies were already running, whether the avoidant noticed them or not. Strategy number 1. You stop needing the avoidant to show up, and that's when they started wanting to. This is the part that changes everything once you understand it. You might assume your power comes from pursuing harder, from being warmer, more patient, more available. But that's not your move. The real shift happened the moment you stop requiring anything from the avoidant to feel okay. Because here's what most people never realize about avoidant attachment. Your pursuit triggers their retreat. Every bid for closeness they can feel coming from you activates the very defense system designed to block it. But when you are genuinely unattached to the outcome, when your warmth has no hook in it, no agenda underneath it, their nervous system doesn't know what to do with that. The alarm doesn't go off. And slowly, almost against their own will, they start moving toward you. The one thing that isn't asking them to. You didn't manufacture this. You simply did the work to actually need less. And that became the most disarming thing in the room. Strategy number 2. You let their silence speak, and you heard exactly what it said. This one might be hard to believe, but stay with it. You might think that tolerating silence means accepting crumbs, that staying quiet when someone goes cold is just another word for losing. But you aren't tolerating their silence the way most people do. You're reading it. Every withdrawal, every delay, every wall they put up carries information. And you, trained by years of attunement to what people feel but never say, are fluent in all of it. Research on high-empathy individuals consistently shows your marked ability to decode nonverbal and behavioral emotional signals that others miss entirely. So while they believe they were disappearing behind an unreadable wall, you were already holding a complete picture of what was happening on the other side. The fear, the shame, the wanting, the paralysis, none of it hidden from you, all of it received by you. And you don't use that knowledge as a weapon. You use it as a compass. The thing that tells you exactly how much to give, when to step back, and when the door is quietly opening again. Strategy number 3. You made your own life so full that they had to reckon with what your absence actually costs. This is where it stops being about the avoidant entirely and starts being about you. You don't wait in stillness. Your outward calm is real, but underneath it, you are building, investing in yourself, your relationships, your purpose, your becoming. And because you are genuinely present in your own life rather than suspended in someone else's withdrawal, something quietly shifts in the dynamic. The avoidant, who is used to a constant gravitational pull, someone waiting, adjusting, diminishing themselves to stay close, suddenly encounters something different in you. Someone who is visibly, genuinely fine, not performing fine, actually fine. Research on avoidant attachment patterns shows that one of their primary unconscious needs is a reassurance that connection will survive their distance. When that reassurance is replaced by evidence that you are actively thriving without them, the calculus changes. What was previously manageable distance starts to feel, to them, like a real and irreversible loss. You didn't threaten to leave. You just quietly kept living. And that became the loudest message they ever received from you. Strategy number 4. You refuse to collapse. And that refusal rewrote the story they had about love. This is the one that runs deeper than any of the others. Avoidant individuals carry a nearly universal internal narrative, that closeness leads to pain, that vulnerability invites abandonment, and that the people who claim to love them will eventually confirm their worst fears. Every relationship that ends in pursuit emotional escalation, or eventual withdrawal reinforces that story for them. But you, without ever saying a word about it, interrupted that loop, not by being endlessly accommodating, but by remaining steady when they expected you to fall apart, by holding your own worth clearly when they expected your insecurity, by not needing to be chosen loudly in order to know your own value. Research on corrective emotional experiences shows that repeated exposure to relational responses that contradict old attachment wounds can gradually begin to rewire how someone perceives threat. You didn't fix them, but your consistency cracked the certainty of their old story. And in that crack, something they were completely unprepared for started to grow. Strategy number 5. You gave without depleting yourself, and that confused them completely. This might be the hardest thing about you for them to understand. You give. That part is visible to them. What isn't visible is the inner structure that makes your giving sustainable, because you have learned, often through your own deep work, to give from overflow rather than from need. You are not loving them in order to receive love back. You are not extending warmth in order to trigger warmth in return. And this completely dismantles one of their most reliable defenses, the expectation that every act of care you offer comes with invisible strings that will eventually tighten. Research on what draws avoidant individuals back into connection consistently points to experiences of feeling received without being required to reciprocate on demand. Your non-transactional presence isn't a loss for you. It's a practice. And for them, your presence is an encounter with something they have genuinely never felt safe enough to fully trust before. Strategy number 6. You kept one door open without standing in front of it. Pay close attention to this one, because it explains why your outcomes look like luck to everyone watching. You don't close, but you also don't hover. You understand, intuitively or through hard-won experience, that they cannot move toward anything that feels like a demand, even a loving one from you. So you leave the door open in the only way that actually works, by being consistently, quietly reachable without any urgency attached to whether they walk through. No ultimatums from you. No disappearing to trigger their panic. No performing indifference to manufacture chase. Just your real, unhurried presence communicating, without you ever saying it, that the option exists, but you're not defined by whether it gets taken. This is not your passivity. It is your precision, because they who are used doors that either slam shut or become walls they're pushed against, encounter something in you they have no defense for, a door that stays open simply because you chose to leave it that way. Strategy number 7. You knew the whole time that this was never really about them. This is the one that lives at the very bottom of everything. Because somewhere in the process, in all your attunement, all your steadiness, all your quiet, disciplined presence, you understood something they're still catching up to, that this dynamic was never a test of how much you could give. It was an invitation for you to discover how clearly you could see yourself in the middle of someone else's chaos and still choose your own wholeness. You weren't there to fix them. You weren't there to be chosen by them. You were there to practice something most people never learn, how to love without losing yourself in it. And because of that, no matter how they eventually respond, you have already gotten the most important thing. Not from them, from yourself. Their distance didn't take anything from you. It handed you back everything you needed to find. Here's what matters most. And if you're reading this, you already know it's true. Your quiet power doesn't come from strategy in the manipulative sense. It comes from your wholeness, from the internal work you've done that makes your presence itself something